We all have problems. And I believe that we all have faith. We all have problems and we all have faith. But how much? How much faith do we have? Do we have enough faith to sustain us for any problem that we might have? Do we have enough faith? Because I don't know what problem we're going to have tomorrow or the next day. The question is, whatever comes our way, do we have enough faith to sustain us? Well, I know we all have enough faith to sustain us with what's going on here now because we all right. We're doing pretty good now. We're sitting up in church. We feel pretty good. We're healthy, and there's no urgent matters in our lives. So we can all talk about faith and having faith and encourage one another to keep on having faith. But the question is, when things get a little rough, get tougher, storms really start raging, do we have enough faith then to withstand the storms? Okay, well, let's look at this. Jesus had just finished feeding 5,000 people. Just finished feeding 5,000 people, and he was getting ready to go over to the other side of Galilee. He was going to take Galilee over to Gennesaret. And he told the disciples, look, y'all get in the boat. Get in the boat and go to the other side. Now, he stayed and dismissed the folks. We just talked about dismiss a few minutes ago. Jesus stayed and dismissed the people. And he went up into the mountains to pray. The disciples was in the boat. First thing he told them was get in the boat. That's your first. That's your first command. Get in the boat. See, some of us are hanging out, and we're stragglers. And you may be coming to church, but you're not really in the boat. See, a lot of people hang around the boat and won't ever get in it. But Jesus told them, he said, get in the boat and make your way over to the other side. He went on up and started to pray. And he prayed quite a while. It was already evening when he dismissed the people. And then after he dismissed them, he went up to pray. So it was getting late in the evening by this time. And disciples had already gone. They left to go to the other side, over to Gennesaret. So during the time that he dismissed the people, went up there and had a few hours of prayer, they were out in the middle of the sea. They were in the boat, out in the middle of the sea, halfway between Galilee and Gennesaret. And then a storm came up. See, just because you're in the boat now, first command is to get in the church. That's the boat. Get in the church. A lot of y'all hanging around the boat. Just hanging around, dropping in, enjoying the singing, enjoying the preaching, or just being uplifted by the services, which is a good thing. But you're just hanging around. Instead of getting in the boat, you're just hanging around the boat. Jesus said, get in the boat. Okay, so they got in the boat, and now, but let me tell you now, just because you get in the church, don't mean ain't no storms gonna rage. They were in the boat, but as they got out in the middle of the sea, storm raged. And I'm sure some of them went to talking about, I was doing all right. We should have stayed where we were. I know us. It was some of us on that boat. We should never got on this boat. We was doing all right on the seashore. Cause I know that was some of us because we're doing that same thing about the church. Oh, I was doing better than that before I joined church. Now I done got in church and out here look like everything's falling in on me. But at least you in the church. You in the boat. Now the storms came. Just bear with me a little bit. I'm telling this little story. I'm saying the storms came out in the middle of the sea. And it got to, tossing them. Church, people in the church, storm then came. And sometimes it'll toss you. Yeah, you in the church. You going to church every Sunday. But storms still come into your life. And you can't stand still. They get to moving you and tossing you to and fro. Anybody been in a storm like that? I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about the storms of life. It's pushing you one way and pushing you another one, and seem like you ought to be safe. You're in church on Sunday. You're hearing the choir sing. You're singing along with them. You're preaching with the preacher. You're praying. Seem like you ought to be safe, but the storm is still rocking you. The storms of life just raging. Even though you're in the church. But at some point, Jesus was out walking on the water. Now the disciples had two dilemmas. First of all, they had a storm that they were dealing with. A scary storm that they couldn't handle. And now, in the midst of the storm, they looked and see something that they don't recognize. You knew you had this bill. You don't know how you're going to pay for that. But you go to the mailbox and here's something here, and you're asking us, what is this right here? Here's another something I got to deal with. Where did this come from? I ain't dealt with the other one. I don't know what I'm going to do with that other one. And before I get the other one paid, here's another one here. Who sent this? Where did this come from? I know you've been there. Where did this come from? It's one you don't even recognize, this one. You don't even know where this bill come from. You made it, but you don't remember it. Now here it come time to pay it, and you say, Lord, where did this come from? And that's what they were saying. They knew the storm. They was dealing with the storm. The storm was raging. And now all of a sudden they look out there and see something scary walking on water. Lord, what a predicament. Then Jesus spoke to him. He spoke up. Don't worry about that. I know you're scared because this is a scary situation. But don't worry about it. It's me. It's me. Don't worry about this. That's when you look at that bill and see you got that other one. Here's this new one. You don't know where it come from. But then you look down at the bottom down there, and it says down there, this is not a bill. That's Jesus revealing himself. Don't worry about it. This is not a bill here. Be calm and go on, keep trusting in the Lord. This is not a bill. That's what he told them. Don't worry about it. There's nothing here to fear. This is me. This is me. Don't be afraid. Hold on to your joy. It's me. In the midst of every storm, Jesus can be found. Now, and a lot of times the world would tell you, you have to go and find a solution to your problems. But when you're dealing with Jesus, you don't have to go find a solution. When you're dealing with Jesus, the solution will come to you. You don't have to go. See, we mess up when we go out looking for solutions instead of just putting it in God's hand and let him work it out for you. We try to work it out for ourselves. They didn't need to. All they needed to do was just stay in the boat. Just stay in the boat, and Jesus found them. He came to them. They didn't have to go looking for no. They were, it was boisterous, and the waves and the wind was blowing, but they were in the boat. That was the safest place for them. I can't understand why when trouble comes into the Christian's life, so many of our lives, we jump out the boat. Where have you been all this time? Well, I had some problems. You mean you had some problems? You jumped out the boat? It just don't make any spiritual sense. If you got problems, your safest place is in the church. You don't jump out the church when problems come. You stay in and get closer to the Lord. It's safe in the ship. Just trying to help you a little bit here this morning. You got to know where your safety lies. All right, so they stayed. They were in the ship, and Jesus was on the waters. And they went to looking out. Jesus felt their fear, and he said, don't be afraid. It's me. It's me. And then old Peter began to be Peter. Lord, if it's you. Now, I don't know why Peter doubted whether it was him or not. And when you interpret that, in some interpretations, that if turns to sense. Means sense is you. But scripture says if. So in asking that question, Lord, if it's you, let me come to you. I don't know what Peter was thinking about when he said, if it's you, let me come. Because it doesn't make sense. If I'm down whether that's you or not. I'm not getting out this boat. Because the question is, what if it ain't you? But he asked the question, if it's you. But Jesus immediately answered him by saying, come. And I believe right there is when his question was answered. When he heard Jesus' voice say, come. When Jesus tells you to do it. Do it. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a simple thing or it's a complicated thing. If Jesus tells you to do it, do it. If you have a hope of doing anything, a real desire of doing anything, don't let the complexity of the thing stop you. It may be a complicated feat, but don't let it stop you because it's complicated. If you have a hope of doing it, ask the Lord about it and do it. It doesn't matter not whether she say you can do it or he say you can do it. If the Lord tell you to do it, do it. You getting out on the limb. Yeah. I'm getting out on the limb. But the only way you can get out on the limb is to get up the tree. And you can't get out on the limb if you stay on the ground. The boat was a safe place, but it was on the ground. And Peter had more ambitions than to just being safe in the boat. There may be some other things in your life you want to do than just survive. Have I got a witness here? You may want to do more than just have a good job. You may have a desire to give somebody else a job. Have I got a witness here? And you can't do that if you stay on safe ground. You got to get out of the ship and walk on water. Yeah. You gonna get out there on that limb by yourself? Yeah. Well, that's the way I want to be. If I get out on the limb, I want to be by myself. I don't want no dead weight on the limb with me. Let me be on the limb by myself. Because if he get on the limb and he get on the limb gonna break. So let them stay on the ground. I'll get out on the limb by myself. All I want to know is if Jesus, if he'll go along with me going out there. When he tell me to walk on the water, I'm getting out the boat. Now, guess why didn't nobody else walk on the water? Guess why didn't nobody else walk? Because they didn't want to. They didn't want to walk on water. Peter wanted to do more than just sail in the ship. He wanted to walk on water. You know, don't be discouraged because you want to do a little bit more in life than they did. Don't let them discourage you because they may not want to do no more. All they want to do is just meet their bills every week. All they want to do is just come to one service and go home. They don't want to participate in nothing else. They don't want to go no further than to just sit here for 2 hours on Sunday. And if that's all right, well, they safe in the boat. They in church and they saved. But you might want to go a little further than that. You might want Jesus to bless you a little bit more than that. So you might have to get out the ship. If they would have asked to come out the ship, more than David would have walked on the water. But he's the only one that had a desire to walk on water. Yeah. You know, he had enough faith too to get out of the ship. He had enough faith to get out of that ship. How much faith do you have? He had enough faith to get out of the ship. They were in their comfort zone. They were safe in the boat. So that's where they stayed. Peter wanted to go a little further. He wanted to get closer to God. Lord, let me come to you. And when he heard God's voice saying, come, he got out of the ship. But he didn't get out until he heard Jesus say, come. When Jesus said, come, he got out the ship because he recognized Jesus' voice. Now, the question is, do you recognize when the Lord is talking to you? That's the biggest question we have. Do you recognize when the Lord is telling you you can have it and you can't? Do you recognize his voice when he's talking to you? So I want to do what the Lord say do. Well, do you know when the Lord is talking to you? How do you know when God is talking to you? How do you know? I know when the Lord's talking to me. Have you ever had, I know you have, just going to make this example here. When your friend call you, your best friend call you, once she speaks, once he speaks, you know who you're talking to. But when that sister back there called, if she don't state her name, you wondering who this is. It happens to me all the time. People just go, how you doing, Pastor? I'm doing it. Well, I'm glad you're all right. What you doing? And they just kind of, I'm trying to figure out who is this? I'm trying to catch the voice. They never tell me who they are. Sometime at the end, I'll say, well, it's been good time. Who is this? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you. Yeah, you're right. But I didn't recognize the voice. Now you know why? Because I don't talk to him that often on the phone. But the person that I talk to often, I recognize the voice. How do you know when Jesus is talking to me? When you talk to him often. You know, when you don't talk to the Lord often, you don't recognize when he speaks back to you. But those of us who talk to him on a regular basis know when he's talking back to you. You know when God is endorsing what you want in life. And when he told Peter to come, Peter recognized that voice. And he jumped out of the ship, got out of the ship, and started walking. Scripture didn't say he tested the water. He just got out the ship and started walking. There was no danger in the water. The water was solidified. He was able to walk on the water. He didn't even test it. Just got out the ship and started toward Jesus. Why? Because Jesus said, come. And he had enough faith in Jesus to start walking. But he didn't have to worry about the water because the water wasn't his problem. The water wasn't his problem. His problem was the wind. When he stepped down, the water held him. So that wasn't his problem. He was able to kind of walk on the water. The water solidified itself. It became solid so he could walk on the water. Water wasn't his problem. The scriptures say he started looking at the wind. Now, when you go to really, when you go to studying that, you know that he can't see the wind, but he saw the effects of the wind. And the wind was blowing the water that he was walking on. And you want to know why a lot of y'all can't walk and can't achieve extraordinary things in your life? Because you're listening to the wind. We don't call it the wind, we call it hot air. Folks around you talking a lot of hot air, and you can't get to where you trying to go because you're listening to all that hot air. And this air is discouraging air. And what happens? Pretty soon, you start sinking. And that's a terrible situation. And it's even worse for you because you was already walking. You was already on your way until you start listening to all the hot air that these people, unfaithful people, was blowing in your ears. And when he did that, he began to say, well, what other way are you going? You ain't going up. So if the water fail you, you going down. His eyes saw the wind. The wind was blowing. The wind was boisterous. It was sailing everything. It was a terrible situation. And he got out there and the folks started speaking that in his ear. Man, it's tough out here. This is tough. Well, up in verse 24 it was tough. The storm was there when he got out the boat. The wind was blowing while they was in the boat. You remember before Jesus even showed up. It was tough. Now you done got out there and start walking and they're trying to show you how tough it is. And you're going to let them back you up and cause you to fail in what you're trying to do because you're listening to that mess. You're listening to folks talk about you, talk about your family, breaking up your home, talking about your husband. Folk ain't got no husband, talking about your husband. People in the ship talking about how terrible a storm was, and they still in the ship. They ain't out there walking on water. You walking on water, and you letting somebody that ain't got the courage to get out there. You letting somebody ain't got no husband talk about yours. They ain't got no job talking about your job. All these folk discouraging you, and you already paying your bill. Your job may not be the best job, but you got one. Your husband may not be the best, but you got one. Your wife may not be the prettiest, but you got one. Told you we were going to have some fun with this. You listening to that foolishness. Give me that somebody that ain't got nothing trying to put in your ear. Cause you to lose what you got. That's why he couldn't walk no further. Listening to that wind and the hot air caused him to lose what he had and start sinking. But the one thing he did have, he had sense. He had sense to know who to call on. He knew who to call on. He knew what he was trying to do depended on that person right there. It don't depend on him, her. It don't depend on her. They can't stop you. Folk can't stop you from succeeding. If God told you to do it, do it. I don't care how much they don't want it to happen. If God opened a window for you, they can't close it. If he opened a door, they can't close it. You keep your eyes and your trust in the Lord. Don't lean to your own understanding, but acknowledge him. That's why Peter called, Lord, you let me come to it. He didn't ask them folks in the boat, you think I ought to go? When the Lord said come, he went. Because he was dependent on the Lord. Lord told him to go. He was dependent on the Lord to get him there. Where your ambitions are and your faith, you have to have enough faith put in the Lord to help you to get to where you want to go. And I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. But wherever you got trying to go, you got to go through Jesus. Trust in the Lord. Acknowledge him. You got to go through Jesus. He had enough sense to know he had to go through Jesus. Because the earth is his. Everything in it is his. All the folk in it is his. So whatever my ambitions are in life, I got to go through the Lord. That's even in my health. If I'm going to be healthy, I got to go through the Lord. Lord, I need you. I'm trusting in you. I'm acknowledging you. Yeah, you got the doctors here, but I'm not praying to no doctor. I don't care how good he's supposed to be. He can't work unless the Lord worked through him. I'm going to acknowledge the Lord and let him take control because everything belongs to him. And if there's a failure in this, where am I going to turn? I'm going to turn back to the Lord. And it's all right for you to pray that prayer. When things get rough, the going get tough, go back to the Lord. Lord, you told me. You told me to get out of here. Things ain't working out for me. So I need to call on you again. What you need me to do. Because you told me to get out here. Now things ain't going right. What am I supposed to do? Let him direct you. Let him get you out the situation. He got you in, he can get you out. He's only testing your faith. Every time things don't go your way don't mean you finna fail. It just means God's finna reveal himself and show you that it may not be so good right now, but anytime I get ready, I can put my hand out there. And Peter knew that. That's why he called on him. He said, Lord, our Heavenly Father, Father of the universe, one who's able, one who made the heavens and earth, Lord, oh Lord, you don't pray that kind of prayer when you're drowning. That's not the kind of prayer you pray when you're drowning. You don't pray like these deacons pray on Sunday morning. Not when you're drowning. Your ultimate source is for salvation. And salvation don't come through one of those long prayers. Your salvation comes with Lord, save. And that's your ultimate claim. That's your ultimate desire, is your salvation. Anything else I can do without. But I need salvation. God has it there for me. And if I find myself slipping, I want restoration. Lord, save me. And that's what Peter did. He said, Lord, save me. One thing about Jesus, he don't go to pointing out your faults. That's what we do. I'm almost finished. That's what we do. We go to point out each other's fault. See, if you hadn't done that, and if you done this, if you done what I told you to do, we go to point out what people should have done. They sinking in this water, and you out there pointing out all the negative aspects and things they shouldn't have done in life. Ain't nobody got time to hear that. If you're going to help me, help me. If you're going to give me a hand, give me a hand. Don't tell me I should have had a job. Give me some help. Jesus didn't go through all that. When he said, Lord, save me, scripture say he put his hand out there. A lot of us want to pray for folk. Folk need help. They need you. And you tell them about you going to pray for them. You got to help. Put your hand out there. Grab them by the hand. Show them you're going to help them. The Lord help folk through other folk. Don't pray for them. Be the help they need. Lord, send them some help. Lord, send me. Let me help them. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord reached down and gave him that hand. Isn't it good to know? Now, didn't he do the same thing to you? I mean, for everybody in here, the Lord did that same thing. You were sinking deep in sin. Is that right? What the scripture say? They was out in the middle, far from the peaceful shore. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. I was on drugs. I was down in my luck. Down there, didn't know where I was going. My health was failing me. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. When I start hollering, oh yeah, from the waters. When I start sinking, he lifted me. And that's why I'm sitting up in church. That's why I'm saved. I'm saved right now because the Lord heard my cry. You're not saved because you've been living that good. You're not saved because you've been praying that much, because you live that righteous. You're praying because the Lord heard your cry and lifted you out of the water. Now you're saved because of the Lord. Lord reached down and picked him up. I'm through with this now. And when he picked him up, the scripture said they got in the boat. Say they got in the boat. When he got back in the boat, Jesus got back in there with him. And let me tell you something. Everybody in the boat benefited. Your blessing may be a benefit to everybody that's around you. So you keep your hand in God's hand, and somebody else may benefit. And when they got back in the boat, Jesus got in with him, and the scripture said the storms.